Alright, this video is going to explain how to install a threaded tub spout, and I'm going to get right into it. The first thing you want to do is take your tub spout and you want to measure from the face of the female threads inside to the end of the tub spout that's going to meet the wall. So I'm doing it here, and you see I have 3 1/8. So once you have your measurement from the face of the female threads, you're going to add a 1/2 inch to it. That 1/2 inch is going to account for the male threads of your copper pipe here that's going to thread into the tub spout. Now I have to warn you before we get too far that this video does involve soldering with a torch and solder. Now I know some of you might not be able to do that, but I think I can teach you how. So that's what we're going to do here. So knowing that, you can see that I put up a piece of copper pipe on there to extend the copper pipe from the wall. I used a copper coupling and a piece of 1/2 inch copper pipe. And now you can see me holding up a 1/2 inch copper male adapter. This is our male threaded fitting that we're going to solder on. You can see I'm carefully trying to measure it because I want to make sure that that end of that male threads is 3 5/8 inches from the wall. It's very important that the end of that male threads there in my hand is 3 5/8 inches from the wall. Now it was hard for me to show this in the video, but what you need to know is that the copper pipe coming from the wall isn't gonna go inside of that male adapter all the way to where the threads are. So in other words, you have to hold the male adapter up the way I am so you can see where you need to cut the copper pipe. The copper pipe isn't gonna come all the way out to where the male threads are. It's gonna end short. I hope I'm explaining that, but as you can see, I'm holding it, and you're going to notice that I'm going to put my finger not at the end of the male threads, but at the end of the hub of that 1/2 inch male adapter. So I think I beat it to death. I think you understand what I'm saying, but if you're paying attention, you're going to see that I'm actually going to mark the spot where the hub ends, not where the male threads end. But the important part is that the male threads end hit 3 5/8 inches from the wall. But to continue, you're going to see here, I'm going to mark it in just a moment with my other hand. And you can tell that I'm really taking my time doing this, but it's just because it's so important that you get it kind of precise, or else you're going to have a gap where your tub spout meets the wall. Because the piece I'm using is so small, I had to use channel locks to hold it while, cutting the pipe with these copper cutters. I really like these close quarters little Circle C copper cutters here I'm using. I think they're Milwaukee. And I always put the product links and everything in the description, so I'll try to get all these fittings in there, all the stuff you need for the soldering, pretty much just everything, the copper cutters, anything that I use in this video that I can think of that will be useful. But once you cut your piece, you're ready to start cleaning your fittings and your copper pipe so you can solder. And you can see in the video, I already started cleaning one of the fittings. I think it's the male adapter. Basically, I'm using a 1/2 inch wire brush. It's a 1/2 inch wire fitting brush specifically made for this purpose. Sometimes you'll see that I kind of twist it back and forth, but typically you just want to twist it kind of in the clockwise direction. And you just want to twist around in the fitting there until you just clean it really well. You can kind of check it as you go, but when it's clean enough, usually when you look inside the fitting, it's going to be scoured very well, scraped up and kind of shiny essentially. Pretty much you're just cleaning the inside of the fitting, but you're not really cleaning it. You're just kind of cleaning it and kind of roughing up the metal at the same time and just really exposing that shiny copper underneath. Here I am using the wire brush again to clean the copper coupling. And you noticed I'm trying to be very, very thorough. I have to tell you that if you've never soldered before, it can be done by a beginner and you could do it from a video like this, just to be real. But I know there's a lot of people that would say that they couldn't, and there's a lot of people who probably couldn't. But I'm going to explain all these little details so you can be successful, hopefully. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because it's so crucial when you're cleaning the fittings with the wire brush. You can see I'm kind of being excessive in the video here, scraping the ends and stuff. You just want to really ream out the insides and really scrape them up good and get them shiny. And once you do, you want to try to avoid touching them too much with your fingers on the insides of the pipe. It could affect, the sealing of the solder if there's like oil or something on your fingers. But once you use a wire brush to clean the inside of your copper fittings really well, most likely if you're doing this, you probably have a coupling and a male adapter and a little piece of pipe just like me. So now you see me using an emery cloth to clean the copper pipe going from the wall. And again, you want to clean this really, really, really well. I I don't think you could clean it too much, just to emphasize. The biggest thing that will cause a problem for someone when they're soldering is they did not clean the pipe and the fittings good enough. It is so incredibly crucial. I cannot emphasize it enough. And that's why I tried not to edit this video too much and leave it at the full length and not speed things up too much, because I really wanted you to see how kind of crazy I get with cleaning this stuff, because it really is so important. And if you're doing this for the first time, I would just recommend you just make sure it's the shiniest copper that ever shined, okay? So now that I beat that to death as well, you can see me using this emery cloth to clean the copper pipe from the wall. And here in a moment, I'm going to use channel locks or pliers to hold my small piece of copper so that I can clean it with the emery cloth and without, getting the oils or anything, contaminants from my fingers onto it. All right, so here I am just wrapping up, cleaning the small piece of copper that I'm going to use. You can see me holding it with channel locks and using emery cloth to just clean that small piece of copper really well. And once we get that clean, everything will be clean. The copper pipe from the wall, the copper coupling that I'm going to use to extend it, the small piece of copper pipe that I'm still cleaning as I'm speaking here, and the male adapter would all be clean, shiny copper, and ready to go. And then we're ready to move on to this part. What I'm putting on here with this little brush is called Flux. It is a paste that you put on with one of these little flux brushes, and it's used specifically for soldering. And it basically helps the pipe kind of heat up properly and helps the solder pull into the joints properly. I think it's kind of the easiest way to explain what Flux does. But every single surface that's going to be accepting the solder is going to have to get this Flux. So you can see I put on the Flux at the copper pipe coming from the wall. You can see I put the Flux onto the small piece of copper pipe that I'm holding in the channel locks. Now I'm putting the Flux inside of the copper coupling, and in a moment I'm going to be putting the Flux inside of the male adapter. And I would say you can't really overdo it with the Flux. Some people might argue that point, but I would say it's, better to err on the side of using too much Flux than not enough. And some people like to even add it as they're soldering. Like they may add some additional Flux if the pipe's not accepting the solder well, or if it's heating up too much. So feel free to add Flux during the process of the soldering if it doesn't seem to be working right for you. And another piece of advice, if it's not working right for you, don't be afraid to kind of like start over again if you can pull everything off, because this can be a hard thing to do, but that is why I'm trying to explain how to do this so thoroughly so that you can get it right the first time. So we want to clean everything incredibly well. We want to flux everything incredibly well. Now you can see I have all my fittings on there. I have my coupling, my small piece of pipe, and my male adapter. And now I'm going to measure it to make sure it's the right distance. Remember, we want the end of that male thread to be 3 5/8 inches from the wall exactly. You can see that obviously it wasn't right in my video because I'm tweaking it a little bit with the pliers, but once I'm done tweaking it there, we're going to use my tape measure here, and I'm going to confirm that it is now 3 5/8 inches from the wall to the end of my male threads. And if I remember properly, I'm going to grab the camera. Yep, here I go. I'm going to grab the camera and show you that we now have our 3 5/8 inches from the wall. Exactly what we want. So now we're ready to solder it. I just wanted to mention real quick, because I don't think I mentioned it yet, that your tub spout might not be the 3 5/8 inches requirement. I feel like people watching this probably know that already, but I haven't said it, and I'm going to put it in text in the video just to let people know. But don't make yours at home 3 5/8 inches unless your measurement comes out to 3 5/8 inches. Now I can feel more comfortable that I actually said that. Now remember to lay out a towel or something just so the solder doesn't drip onto the tub or anything, as you can see I did, and then you're ready to go. So to solder, you want to take a torch like this. You got to use MAP gas. It's usually a yellow canister. I recommend. I'm going to show you the kit to get, but you're going to heat it up as I'm doing there. You want to get the torch close enough that it kind of hugs the entire pipe when it's heating it, like I did. And then once it gets to a certain temperature, you'll see that it starts taking the solder. Now, pretty much you're going to want to heat it up and maybe give it a few moments, and then just kind of try to touch the joint with the solder real quick and see if it absorbs into the joint or not. If the solder doesn't quickly kind of absorb into the joint, then that means you just take the solder away and just keep heating it a little longer. But once you're satisfied with your soldering job, you can see I'm really taking my time adding it there, but you probably won't have to do that. But once you're satisfied, you want to go ahead and check your measurement. You're going to see I'm going to grab my tape measure. I'm going to check it just to make sure one more time that it's that 3 5/8 that I want. And again, your measurement may be different, so you're just going to make sure that you got your proper measurement. But if it's right, then you're just going to go ahead and clean it really, really well. You see I'm trying not to wipe it too much yet because I'm probably waiting for that solder to set completely. But I'm going ahead and turn the water on just a little bit to kind of cool it off quicker here at some point. There it goes. And then you just want to make sure you clean that copper pipe really well. It doesn't necessarily have to be with water or soap or anything, but you want to take like a clean, dry cloth and just really dry that copper pipe or clean that pipe really well. You don't want any residual flux to remain on that copper pipe because it will make it corrode much faster if there's flux left on it. So I can't emphasize enough to just clean your copper pipe and your fittings, your coupling, your male adapter, clean all that really well as you see me doing. And then once it's all clean, you'll be ready to add your Teflon tape and pipe dope. So you're going to add Teflon tape to the male threads here. And I like to use this better, thicker tape. There's stuff like Blue Monster. We use this gray Mega tape. But if you use the white stuff, that's okay too, but you might just want to make it thicker. But with this Mega tape or the Blue Monster, we'll do about 5 or 6 rotations. As you can see, I'm rotating it around the male threads clockwise. And you want to make sure it's relatively tight. And yeah, just do 5 or 6 rotations around it. I'm not going to bother counting how many I did, but you can if you want. And once you get the tape on there, you want to break it off. Make sure it's on there good. And then you're going to add pipe dope to that. I keep saying pipe dope, but it's really called pipe joint compound. We use this one that has the Teflon in it, but there's other kinds like the Odie one that's white. They are all pretty good, and they're all really messy. So try not to get it on you, your clothes, or anything because pipe joint compound is a mess. You see I have my tub spout here, and I'm going ahead and screw it on now. Just carefully screw it on, make sure you don't cross-thread it. And once you know that he's threaded on there properly and not cross-threaded, you'll go ahead and tighten them. I don't know why I keep moving my hand away. I guess I just want to show everyone that it's on there right. But if he's threaded on properly, not cross-threaded, you're just going to tighten them like you see me doing. Try to be careful with the little diverter pull there that you don't bend it or break anything. I might look like I'm manhandling it, but I am being very careful. But you just want to be really careful because a lot of these tub spouts aren't the best of quality. And just tighten them until you feel confident where you are. Now, if you accidentally go too far with the rotation, it's usually okay to back them up again. But if you're nervous, you can always remove the tub spout, redo your Teflon tape and pipe dope, and try again. But pretty much we're done at this point. You saw I tested it real quick, and now I'm doing the caulking. This is a clear caulk that I'm using. It goes on white but dries clear. I definitely recommend caulking it even if your tub spout's really close to the wall, just because it's just one more good measure to keep water from dripping back there. But you're going to clean up your caulking at this point, and then you're done. I really appreciate you watching the video. I hope this was helpful. If you have any feedback or anything to mention, definitely feel free to do so in the comments. We really appreciate it. You know, once I make a video on everything, I'm sure I'll go back and start remaking all the videos that I got a lot of feedback on. So we're always looking to improve. We definitely appreciate it. I try to respond to all the comments, but I'm a little behind on the viral videos. But if you could give us a like and subscribe, it would definitely help us out, help our channel's reach. And we just really appreciate it. And thanks, and we hope you see you again in the future. Take it easy.